passes. The second order of business is to adopt are there resolutions? No? No resolutions?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on from there. I miss a meeting and it's total chaos, yes. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reason for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board, and persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or a representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Staff will now introduce the first application.
Our first application is V1916, an area variance for maximum driveway width and required front yard located at 2560 South Avenue to expand a driveway. Paul and Michelle Axford are the owner applicants. It's zoned residential class A1.
Hello again. Paul Axford, 2206 Euclid Ave, and we're the owners of the property. As you've heard before, we're trying to expand the driveway to make it safe for entrance and exit of two cars. We've cut back, and all we're really asking for now, the variance is of 18 square feet of blacktop. That's the only part that's really come into the variance. It's just to make a small 45 so the car can get in, and hopefully we'll all be good. You know, we're trying to do the right thing. We drive around the city and we see blacktops on the sidewalks and people with huge driveways, and we're trying to go about it the correct way. So,
Paul, just tell us the difference between the first application and the second application.
Our first application, we basically wanted to have a two-car wide driveway right up to the garage, which would have been probably 20 by 40. Now we're down to a 12-foot wide driveway off of the road, and then we go back to 20-foot set, which is what you asked for. And then we did another car there, but we needed just a 45 or 6-foot by 6-foot triangle just to squeeze past the parked car. So we cut down a lot of blacktop, and hopefully it will be good.
Question?
Well, essentially, today's is the same you had 2 weeks ago, right?
Pretty much. Well, 2 weeks ago. The first application was denied. Yeah,
Right, the same.
yeah, this is my third time here. Thanks.
But are you having a good time?
It would be nice to have been rain.
They had this, now it's...
Yes, yeah, I can do that. Anybody here wish to speak in favor of the proposal? Anybody here wish to speak against the proposal? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next case.
The next application is V1917, an area variance for maximum driveway width and required front yard at the address 2562 South Avenue to expand a driveway. Queenie Williams is the owner applicant, zoned residential class A1.
Yes, please come on up. Tell us your name and address before you tell us about your situation, please.
Hello, my name is Doris Rice. My address is 104 Munson Drive. I'm here and representative for Queen and Alex because they're in North Carolina. And they just asked me to come with the paperwork to represent, so I'm not sure exactly what.
So do you know, I mean, we have the case here, but do you know what they're trying to do?
I believe it's to widen the driveway.
Okay. And
has a new plan been submitted for this particular property?
A emailed one yesterday. I haven't really had an opportunity to look at it. I had assumed that the representative would be here today to present that and discuss it with the board.
Let's see, okay.
It's our understanding from prior meetings that this would be so basically the reverse of the plan that we just heard for 2560 South Ave.
Well, she does have a plan, correct?
I have a paper that they emailed me.
We'll take a look at it, see if it's of any help.
I'm sorry I'm a little late, but I was down at home.
Right on time.
No problem. You were here when you were
I
called.
was late because I was drowning. Well, yeah. Oh, his
His plan.
Yeah.
Page 23.
Oh. 23 is the,
Six.
this is the plan, or is it just the, is it survey?
Right. It's not the plan.
Yeah.
Well, unless, what's this bit in here?
It doesn't look like much.
Asphalt driveway addition. That's,
Okay, so that is it.
and it's similar to what you see on page 56.
Which is,
56.
Yeah, which is not reflective of the prior application, right? It looks like it starts cutting back at, what, 12 feet or 6 feet? Different than the first application. If it's the same as what's on page 56.
have you conferred with your neighbor at all? I'm just curious.
I tried to call him a couple of times. I actually sent him the picture, and I said, if you just mirror copy this and resubmit it minus the walkway to the house, we should be good. But let's say that was 3 months ago. You only got an email yesterday.
Yes. Is it Ms. Rice?
Yes.
Are they coming back to town anytime soon?
Not that I know of. If possible, they probably could.
Is it-
They actually moved.
Oh,
Alex was hired in North Carolina, and then Queen transferred.
okay. And is the house empty?
I believe they're renting it.
Okay, so it's a rental property as well. Okay.
And if need be, I can, depending on when the next council meeting is, I can get some more information from them, and I can come back, but I'm not sure when they were actually notified of this meeting, but I was notified yesterday to see if I could come and
Okay, so
help out.
first of all, a new plan exists, and is it more detailed than this?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen-
Lisa?
Lisa, do you know if it's more detailed than
I
this?
looked at it very briefly,
Is this?
and that was it.
That was it, okay. I am going to, well, I don't know, we'll hand it over to the experts. Can you translate that? Come on, Heather, you could do it.
You're fluent in that, right?
Yes, she certainly is.
Yes, I am. Well, I guess maybe you should continue your deliberation and/or ask if anyone is in favor or against while I look at this, and
Oh, you want to go?
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay, so any questions to Ms. Rice isn't going to get us anywhere. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anybody who wishes to speak against the application? I'm not going to close the case right this second.
I have one question. Is the previous application dependent on approval of the second one, or can it be independent?
It's yes and no. My understanding was that basically whatever was done on one side, they wanted to do on the other side just for uniformity.
Just for uniform, just for optics.
And also for the cost savings, because they were going
it's the
to
same
have the work
contract.
done
Yeah, right,
at the
okay.
same
So
time. But I think perhaps today we can actually vote on
Yeah, I would
theirs.
say.
and leave the other case, open if we decide to do that.
Yeah. Would you, I don't know.
I mean, if Heather
Would you
told
move
us-
forward without, would you move forward without the other?
I still couldn't hear
Would you move forward without?
You get it
the
done without
Yeah,
them?
even if they don't want to do it, or if they just want to do 12 foot, that's fine. I'll even put a curve in the center if I have to.
No, but what we're asking is if we're not, if we approved you today.
Yes.
And we are totally, not in the dark, but we haven't settled on this, do you have a deal with them to do it together, or would you just go and do it yourself?
I would rather do it together.
Yeah, okay.
If I have to do it myself, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to get it done.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you can approve the other one with conditions if this board feels that it should mimic and mirror the other side, and that is appropriate, and you've gone through all the tests. And then,
And you-
when I evaluate this, I don't know if it's
Okay,
to scale.
okay.
If it isn't, we will just have them submit a plan that does that.
Understood.
If that's the way, if that's what the board wishes.
Yes, okay. So then we can close this case for now. Do you want to say something?
Just my conversation with Queen, I think she was okay with whatever you guys were
Did,
planning on
okay.
doing.
And what they submitted should tell that story. So we'll see how we come down on this case and take it from there. So we're going to go to our third case.
Our third application today is V 1918. It's a use variance for uses permitted at an address of 236 Hillsdale Avenue to establish two single-family dwellings on one lot. The owner applicant is Annette Brazor, and the zoning district is residential class A1.
The applicant here? Please step up. Please state your name and address before beginning.
My name is Annette Brazier at 236 Hillsdale Avenue in Syracuse.
Louder, please.
I'm sorry, I always have that problem. I have
You might be able to pull the microphone a little closer to you.
Annette Brazier, is that better? Okay, 236 Hillsdale Avenue in Syracuse.
Tell us what you're asking for, please.
Okay, I purchased this home in January. The previous owner had purchased it from Land Bank as a multifamily property with a front home and a rear home. And when I went about getting architectural plans, and my architect, Mr. Abdo, came down to the city, we were told that it's a one-family property. And I'm just totally confused, pretty much. I bought the house because I wanted it to be a two-family. Just as an aside, my cousin's coming up from Florida. I figured we'd live in the same property. And now with the one-family decision by the city, the property's useless to me now. So I was looking to have that second dwelling, which has been used in the past as a residence, reinstated to a two-family property.
Ms. Brazier, I'm kind of surprised. Normally, we've had these types of cases before where someone purchases a property from the land bank and the property turns out to not really be a two-family or not really be a three-family like the purchaser thought. But usually the land bank also comes in and sort of presents saying that, they'd screwed up, basically, and that they are kind of here to advocate as well.
Oh,
Have you spoken to anyone
I
from?
don't know, have we?
No.
Did I hear you say that somebody else purchased it from the land bank?
That's
And that
correct.
So you didn't purchase it from the land bank?
That's correct.
So, okay, see, there was
Okay.
another
layer.
Yeah,
The previous owner had it for 2 years.
okay,
So you've never had any dealings with the land bank?
That's correct.
that's why, yeah.
That explains it.
And, okay, I didn't get to, did anybody get to the property? Did you see it?
Let's think, it's a single-family residential.
your picture.
You bought this,
No, it said a multifamily property. I have the listing. We have the listing, Mr. Abdo.
She's saying there's a garage in the back.
I don't know if that was changed.
Is this what she wants to make into a house?
I'm just curious, what happened, the person that purchased it from the land bank, it doesn't look like they did much work to it.
It's
What happened there?
The front home is completely renovated.
It is, okay.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. The second home, he was starting to renovate it. He was siding it. He was starting to put in some windows because when he purchased it, there was a tenant in that dwelling, and that tenant left when he purchased the property. So he was in the process of putting in a bathroom, and he put some siding on. He was starting to do some work. As an electrician, he lost his job, and he moved to Atlanta when I bought the house. So
maybe the single-family residential is referring to the house.
Second home property.
But it clearly says at the
into-
bottom, second home on
picture.
property.
Yeah, but okay. Which is the house? This one? Yeah, so there's a garage back there.
Correct.
And the garage has been a small house over the years or not?
there's the structure is, I believe it's 20 by 40 with a second level, and they've used it for various purposes, including an apartment at the same time as storage. I have no idea what the apartment looked like or how large it was previous.
And is it your plan to tear that down and build a house? No. So to turn it back?
Turn it back into a dwelling, yes.
So we're looking at the MLS listing for this property, and there's a portion that we have highlighted here. It says, second home on property has finished exterior and gutted interior, could be garage, rental, etc. Second home has separate heat, gas, and electric. Second house has a multitude of options for finishing.
It was advertised like that.
It was advertised that way
But what is
by the real estate
What is
agent.
in the building in the back today? Nothing? Is it gutted?
It's in limbo. It's nothing right now. I'm just,
Is it empty space? I mean, there's no walls, anything?
Sir, if you want to talk, you're welcome to, but you have to come up here and identify yourself. I'm sorry. That's okay. Take your time.
Hi, Greg Abdo. We submitted
Your address, please?
4358 Bellevue Ave.
And are you a real
I'm
estate?
the architectural designer and builder. These are the photos submitted. You may not have had a chance to...
and sir, if I may submit the original listing stating it's a multifamily property?
Yes, thank you.
It could be the same thing.
Hers looks different, but you have another's
If you look at
different.
that email that we got to from a neighbor, it says, Stuart, that there was an older woman that lived in that garage for a number of years.
Yeah, this one's from Zillow. So it's basically the same information, just parsed a little differently.
Yeah.
See the pictures when they come around. Maybe they're the same as what we have in the packet.
Well, a little bit. So that's the front of, that's the house.
No, that's all the garage. They
It's the
raised the roof on
garage.
it. The house isn't here.
That's all garage.
Oh, that's all garage, gotcha. Oh, so that's where you would see the apartment, okay.
So again, there's nothing in that building in the back today? It's empty?
That's correct, yes.
No walls, nothing?
It's a shell, pretty much.
You mentioned you purchased it. Are you living in the single family
Yes.
now? Yeah, and your idea was to finish it and have a relative live in the back?
Yes, I spent the last 4 years looking for a multifamily home, and unfortunately, they get scooped up by investors regardless of what they look like, and they turn around and rent them, and there's no opportunity for me to buy a multifamily at $200,000 that looks like heck, and then put more money into it to make it livable. So when I saw this property, I jumped on it, especially since it had that second dwelling in the back. And I thought, well, here it is. I got it. But
When you bought the house, you already had that plan in your mind?
oh, I've had this plan in my mind for, like I had said, 4 years to get a multifamily dwelling, but they've all been out of my financial reach until this came up. So,
Other questions?
we do have photos. Have you seen the photos? You do have them? Okay.
Passing them around.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I guess you could just very quickly tell me, so what do you plan to put? Is it going to be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom in the back?
Well, I'd like to reinstate the two-car garage.
Okay.
And then downstairs, in the rear part of the two-car garage would be, excuse me, common area, kitchen, and a living room. And upstairs would be, within the same space, the same footprint, would be 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom.
This is a use variance because at a certain point, I think I remember like 1963, this is residential A or A1 property.
And this was allowed, and it was grandfathered in, and then it went vacant. And so we lost the grandfathering.
We'll be parked in the driveway.
2 cars or 1 car between the two of you? How many cars?
I have a car and she'll have a car. Yep, it'll be off-road parking.
I noticed that from the pictures, it appears that the garage itself today, from the front, looks like, some work's been done to sort of make it blend in with the house.
Right.
I'm assuming that some more finish work would go in.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be absolutely beautiful when it's done instead of the eyesore that it is today.
I just want.
Nice and big.
One of our main issues is that the variance doesn't go to you, it goes to the property. And when you're not living there anymore, then it could become a rental situation and lots of people, living on the property and all that. That's one of our issues that we have to talk about. So this is the plan for the garage apartment. Is it still going to be a garage there, or is it going to be all apartment?
It'll be a two-car garage, and then just one apartment.
And that's upstairs?
Yes.
We'll call that a Fonzie apartment. That's my name. Yeah, we'll call it.
How much do you, if I may ask, how much will the project cost you?
I haven't a clue at this time. It just seems to be going up. I have to get someone in to see if the building as it is can be renovated as it is, if some work needs to be done to do that. I'm flying by the seat of my pants at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these plans are great drawings. Yeah, it's elaborate. You're not sure yet if you will renovate to this spec.
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
We didn't get too far into the project budget yet until we found out if it was going to be approved. I mean, to do a real detailed cost estimate, in all fairness to Annette, is, quite a bit of time and different subs and getting everybody together. So we just wanted to get an indication of whether or not this was going to go, and if so, then we'll put together the budget. But we were talking about trying to keep it around the 120 range, 100. But right now, we're anticipating that the foundation wouldn't have to be removed, that could be utilized. We have to inspect and dig down to make sure it's below frost. I assume it is because it looks good, and we did a little bit of testing just by hand, and it was going down a bit. So I would assume that that's okay, and if that's the case, then we can just go up from there, which would be great and help us save. So some of those items haven't been budgeted out yet or lined item yet, so.
Thank you.
Part of the process.
And it's not your intention, or is it, that your cousin is going to have equity in, are you planning on renting to her? Or is she going to be?
She will be paying off the loan, essentially. So it's not a...
With her name on it or without?
No, with my name. So she will be paying off the loan.
She'll assume the mortgage?
Yes.
The loan.
Yes. Well, like when I...
Okay.
Yeah, whatever I put out for it, she'll be...
This project.
For this project. So essentially... it'd
She's
be-
going to finance it. Her cousin is going to pay it back.
Right. So if my repayment per month is $600 on my loan, she'll pay the $600. So it's not a let's make money rental.
No.
It's just, yeah, okay.
Now, is your cousin retired or is she gainfully employed? What?
She was employed in Florida. She will be coming up, and she's human resources manager. So she'll be looking for employment here also.
Can I ask staff hypothetically, can we make the variance contingent on them building what they've submitted in the plan?
Well, they would have to, because these would be part of the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, because this becomes part of, well,
That if you know-
this was submitted. right?
If we approve it, we'll be approving
This plan.
the plan.
Correct.
If you change it, you have to come back.
Correct.
Modification.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody here wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Hearing none, I think that's our cases, so we can go back and deliberate on the 2 cases we have. Bless you. Okay, so we ready? B19-16, 2560 South Avenue. The applicant came in with a new plan for their driveway. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Rationale?
Sure, let me go through the area variance test. Number one, will there be a change to the neighborhood character? When you compare the original application to the current application, I would say no. The original application, I would argue possibly, but I think that they've reduced it enough, particularly at the street, where I don't think it's going to impact the character of the neighborhood. Are there alternate solutions available so that the variance is not needed? Well, I mean, I think they've looked long and hard at that. This is their third time back, or maybe second time technically, but they've reduced the original ask to a point where I think I can clearly say they've looked at alternate solutions to try to avoid a variance and have come up with this. I don't think the magnitude of the variance being requested is significant. I don't think there will be an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood if it's approved, again, because of the fact that it was scaled back and they tried to make it as minimal as possible. And is it a self-created difficulty? I don't know. I don't know if I'm so. That's arguable because it's given the site and the topography of
the house
there. Yeah. So I guess you could say it's self-created, but but I'd also like to say too, thank you to the applicant for listening to our recommendations and our concerns and working to try to come to a solution that was mutually beneficial. So thank you.
I would agree with everything that's been said. I would also say that I don't think this is a self-created difficulty. I mean, that particular stretch of road is increasingly, picking up more and more traffic. So, I mean, if they weren't coming here today, something tells me somebody would be coming here soon, in a year or 2, 5 years, whatever, looking for some sort of relief, because this is a kind of a sketchy area to be trying to back out into traffic or something like that. I would also say that the magnitude of what was originally presented was so much greater than the amount that's being requested today. I believe it's 4-point-something square feet. I'm sorry, 4-point-something feet by 4-point-something feet. It's very minimal when you think about it. So I think that this is a a good solution to this particular problem.
It's very reasonable. Anybody else?
I'll be a no vote on this. I think it's a bad precedent to set. It is a self-created difficulty. They knew the parking arrangement before they purchased or moved in. And I think it will detract from the neighborhood to have more vehicles parked in the front yard setback.
Then call the question, all those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Pass. Next one. So now we have the B1917 at 2562 next door, South Avenue. Does anybody want to make a resolution?
I'm going to propose that we hold it open to allow feedback from Heather or staff, I should say, to analyze the proposal that was submitted, albeit late.
To make sure it's a mirror copy of
Yeah.
this one and all of that.
You want to second it?
I'll second that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you do have information, and if you could tell us specifically, yes, this is exactly what it is, then we know. So if we hold it open, we don't need, for example, Ms. Rice, who's just trying to help friends but doesn't have a lot of information back here. We can just take that, get a report from you, and then figure it out from there.
It's at your discretion, but you could also take action conditionally on the condition that it be a mirror reflection.
Okay, so in other words, if we did that, then you can say, yes, it is, and then it's passed. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. Okay.
So I'll amend my motion to allow staff, I guess, to get back to us to confirm whether or not this is, am I approving it?
Withdraw your.
Okay, I'll withdraw my
That it's a
motion.
mirror image.
And recommend approval if it's a mirror
If it's a mirror
image.
image, yeah.
Approve with the condition that it's a mirror image of the first, okay. Okay, so I'll withdraw my first motion. I will make another motion to approve the application with the condition that it is a mirror image of the first application to be approved.
I'll second that.
Does he have to go through the,
Yes.
go get everything?
Okay, I'll do this quick because I'll say that I'll have the same comments that I did with the first case, that given the reduction, there won't be a change to the neighborhood character. Alternate solutions were looked at and were agreed upon. The magnitude is minimal. I don't think that there will be an adverse effect on the neighborhood if this ends up being the mirror image of the first case. And I'm gonna, I'll say that it wasn't a self-created difficulty. Just to be.
I second it. I agree with everything that Nick just said, and I do think that this does address safety issues.
I'm going to call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Okay. It passes 4-1. B1918, 236 Hillsdale Avenue. It's the house with the garage in the back that wants to be a house. Is there a motion? Or let me put it differently. Is there a motion?
Well, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay.
Rationale?
The applicant cannot realize the reasonable return, provided that the lack of return is substantial. We've seen no financials in this from the applicant. The alleged hardship is related to the property in question is unique. It does not apply. Well, there again, the applicant knew that there was a nice dwelling in the front, and the back was kind of a gutted structure, so it's kind of, she knew what she was buying. The requested variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Here, I believe that if you're starting to put second homes in backyards. This is a bad precedent because it's opening up to what we have on the, say, on the west side, and all where the neighborhoods are decreasing in value. And the alleged hardship is it self-created? Well, in a way, yes, because she knew what she was buying, and even now she doesn't know how much it's going to cost to finish this project.
I did. I think, it's a hard standard to meet for the use variance. You have to meet all four, and it is a self-created hardship because they didn't do due diligence before purchasing the property. Maybe the person who sold it for that reason and didn't tell the new owners. We don't know. And of course, the sales document is an indication. There's always caveat emptor. You have to discover these things for yourself. There is a case to be made for grandmother apartments even in single-family neighborhoods, but current zoning doesn't allow for it, and I'm a no vote on this too.
One of the things that I would say is that as the owner told us, she was specifically looking for a property that could be utilized as a two-family because this was the plan all along. It doesn't sound like she would have purchased this property if she thought that it wouldn't be able to be utilized in this way. So I don't agree with that particular with the motion that's on the table right now.
Yeah, and as far as letting the buyer beware, all indications were she could do what she, it was second generation from the land bank, and we know we've had some issues where they didn't have the right information to begin with. We didn't ask how fast the flip was, but let's assume, or we don't have to assume, but whatever it was, this person, in the listing it said, it said that. So as far as the financial aspect of this, I don't disagree that doesn't seem to be why she's doing this. She's not doing it because she needs to financially. She's doing it because this is what she was trying to do.
Excuse me, Stu. I was going to say also, I don't believe that this will alter the essential character of the neighborhood. This property was utilized as a two-family in the past. Now, I have no knowledge as to, the condition it was in when it was used as a two-family before, but we have seen plans as to what this two-family would look like, once the work is finished. So, I don't think it will alter anything. I mean, the original two-family was back in the 60s up till, somewhat recently. So
a weird two-family.
It's a weird two-family, but it was existing all this time. I mean, anything that dates back to the 60s predates me on this earth. So it's been quite a while. So
You're so young.
Say that again.
What we didn't ask the applicant is if there was any possibility that they could cohabitate, live in a house. I thought it was kind of maybe a private question. I don't know if that was an appropriate question.
Well, I would assume that that's not because she specifically said that she's been looking for a two-family. I assume they want to live,
Right.
close but independently, because obviously there's plenty of single-family homes that can be purchased for people that would have sufficient room in bedroom.
And, another thing we didn't ask, but if they don't get the variance, this person could still move up here and find a suitable place to live, hopefully in the ballpark of what she can afford. And again, I realize that's not here or there. I'm just trying to think this out.
You don't know if that would be a rental or if it would be that person being able to purchase another home. If they're coming up here to get a job, I would assume they wouldn't immediately qualify for a new mortgage or something like that.
Again, my issue was that when they no longer own the property, what is it going to become? You know, a campus.
Right, right.
You know,
I did look the property up on the tax records, and it is listed online as a single family. The building at the back does look like a garage that was converted to a house. If I were purchasing it, I would want to make sure that it was legally converted to a house, especially if it's listed as a single family in the tax records.
I think sometimes phrasing can be a little ambiguous to people who aren't necessarily used to doing this kind of thing. You know, if I see something is listed as a single family, I might assume they're referring to the house up front being the single family. I don't know that I would.
and you read that footnote on the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah.
that the applicant probably read as well. That
It was almost like contradictory information.
Yeah.
And I mean, it'd be interesting if neighbors would have come in to either object.
Well,
you
we do
did see
have
the
this
letter.
one letter.
I'm sorry.
One of the neighbors said that there was a lovely older lady that lived in the garage apartment. After she passed away, the house was sold, and she said they went through many years of the worst tenants possible living there, and that they weren't able to use their own backyard for years.
So, okay, well, that's something.
Just one thing that I noted is that in the original motion, you noted that you didn't have adequate information about the financials. You can always request that if you wanted to hold open. You can always request further information.
And that would be fine, and that'd be fine. I just didn't get the impression that this was about the finance.
It's not an income, it doesn't seem like she's purchasing it for an income property. But there could be a case made that if,
Well, I'm perfectly amenable to let them
Yeah,
try to make
me
that
too.
case.
Yeah.
No, yeah, okay. So,
What is it?
what's it?
What's Mike want to do?
No, he agreed that we can give them an opportunity to come in with the financials and show, but then they'd have to prove a hardship, wouldn't you? A financial hardship in what she has now.
But maybe
Well,
that's something that
you can, yeah.
We didn't ask those questions,
questions,
yeah.
I would say there's a
Somebody
way
has
to
to run
show
the
that.
numbers.
I would say there's a way to show that.
So not
But
necessarily.
I'm not an attorney, so.
You're in the business.
The standard is not necessarily that there's a financial hardship, but that the property cannot make a reasonable return. So that's the standard you'll be considering.
I mean,
Yeah, but
I
it's not a
suppose
rental,
they're
it's not a
essentially
rental
similar.
property until
well,
a customer.
yeah, but it can be, it doesn't matter. It's what she's saying is that it was purchased as a two-family property, and let's say someday her cousin decides she doesn't want to live there anymore. Now she has to, she wants to rent out that unit in order for her to maintain that property, and she's going to invest. You've heard them say upwards of $100,000. You gotta have some kind of income there.
I know, but not if
potentially.
we say she can't in the first place.
Well, I understand, but that's what she bought the property to do, was to invest money in. Look, I'm not here to make her case, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
The other thing is, I would assume that there was an appraisal when the property was purchased, and I'd be curious to see if the appraisal was, based in any way, shape, or form on potential income, or if it was based on the property being able to be turned into, or be utilized as a two-family.
Right.
Just haven't seen that.
Okay, so we have a negative proposal on the table. Was it you, Mike? Would you be willing to withdraw it?
And hold.
And we're going to leave the case open and give them an opportunity to make their financial case on this, right? That's basically what they have to do. Yeah, I think.
It sounds like that's the one sticky piece, even when you went through the test, that was the one.
Yeah, we didn't ask enough
sticky
questions on
piece.
that. Okay, so then we need a new motion.
I'll make a motion that we hold pending further information relating to the financials of this particular property.
I'll second.
Okay, do we need a discussion in the board?
We talked about it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So, what we suggest, I'm suggesting, tell me if I'm, is that you talk to our staff about what needs to be done, and you'll get another opportunity to come in, and that's the best we can do right now. Okay? So, okay, was that right? What I just said? That they should talk to you? Okay. Good. There's an authorization for next time.
I'll make a motion that we approve the authorization.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.